Have you ever seen a place so beautiful, it almost looks unreal? Today, we're diving into a real-life paradise story that started with just one video.
When you sent me that video, I honestly couldn't believe those blue waters and cliffs were real. Hi everyone, I'm Sophie, and I'm excited to share how our crazy trip to Palawan began.
I'm Lily, and this is the Easy English Podcast, where we help you learn English through real conversations and stories. Today kicks off our special travel series all about our adventures in Palawan.
You'll hear our daily schedule, local food tips, beautiful sights, and honest stories. Plus, you'll learn how English is spoken in real life, with us asking each other questions.
We'll start with how we decided to go, our first impressions, what we ate, and the little surprises along the way. Ready to join us? Let's jump right in.
It all started one quiet night. I was just scrolling through travel videos, not really planning anything, and then boom, I saw El Nido in Palawan. The colors were just incredible.
I remember getting your excited message with the link. You said, "We have to go here." And honestly, it only took me about 10 seconds to agree.
That's what I love about our friendship. We see something amazing and just say, why not? I really believed it would be a once-in-a-lifetime trip.
Looking back, I'm so glad we decided so quickly. Sometimes the best adventures start on a random evening with a travel video. After that, we wasted no time. The next step was booking our flights. Honestly, I felt a little nervous. Is it really happening?
I had the same feeling. But as soon as we got the confirmation email, excitement took over. Suddenly, Palawan went from a dream to a real plan.
It's kind of funny, booking tickets always makes a trip feel official. We started reading travel blogs and making lists right away.
And we kept talking about what we wanted to see. Beaches, caves, food, everything. I loved that early planning stage because it's full of hope and possibility. Fast forward to the flight. When we landed in Puerto Princesa, stepping out of the airport, my first thought was the air feels so fresh here.
Totally. And the sun was shining. The airport was small but really welcoming. I noticed lots of drivers waving and smiling at everyone.
That friendly atmosphere made me feel safe right away. It's so different from arriving in a huge, busy city.
And I loved seeing all the green trees around. It just felt peaceful, almost like the whole place was on vacation mode. After grabbing our bags, we took a van to the hotel. The streets we passed were narrow, with cute local shops and lots of plants everywhere.
That part really surprised me. Everything felt slower, in a good way. Not the kind of rush you get in big cities. More like everyone is just enjoying life.
We checked into our hotel and honestly, I wanted to flop onto the bed right away. But the excitement kept me awake.
Same here. Even though we were tired, the adventure was just beginning. That first hour in a new place always feels special. After a short rest, we decided to explore. Walking around Puerto Princesa was really comfortable, not too crowded, just the right amount of people.
I liked how many small restaurants we saw right away. And I don't know about you, but traveling always makes me extra hungry.
Absolutely. I always say, after a flight, food tastes even better. The local places looked inviting, with colorful signs and open windows.
It was nice to stroll with no rush, just looking at everything and thinking about what to eat for our first dinner. We finally picked a small local restaurant. The menu was simple, but everything sounded tasty. Do you remember how we chose what to order?
I kept asking the server, "What's your favorite?" That's how we ended up with chicken adobo, grilled fish, and garlic rice.
I loved hearing how adobo is a classic Filipino dish: soy sauce, vinegar, garlic, and lots of flavor. The way they described it made me mouth water.
The grilled fish was so fresh, too. Not overcomplicated, just simple, juicy, and full of natural taste. It was the perfect welcome meal. And let's not forget the mango shake. That was honestly a highlight for me. Mangoes in the Philippines are just next level.
I totally agree. I've never tasted mango that sweet before. It was like dessert and a drink at the same time.
It made me want to try a new local drink every day. That little treat gave us so much energy after a long day.
Small things like that make travel special, right? When a simple fruit shake becomes a memory. After dinner, we took a slow walk around the area. The night felt peaceful. No loud music, no busy traffic, just quiet streets.
That calm was something I noticed right away. Even with people out and about, It felt safe and relaxed, almost like everyone respected the evening.
It made me want to slow down too. Just take it all in and enjoy being somewhere totally new.
It's moments like that, simple and quiet, that really stay with me after a trip. Once we got back to our room, we were tired but couldn't stop talking about the next day's plans. The underground river was on our minds.
I remember laying out our clothes so we wouldn't be late in the morning. We wanted to be ready for adventure.
It's funny how even simple planning feels exciting when you're in a new country. I kept checking my camera to make sure it was charged.
Me too. I didn't want to miss a single moment. Even though we were exhausted, the excitement made it hard to fall asleep. Looking back, our first day in Palawan was simple but perfect. Arriving, exploring, and eating it really set the mood for the whole trip.
I agree. The best trips don't need to start with big events. Sometimes just arriving and enjoying a meal is enough to make you feel grateful.
That relaxed start helped us adjust and appreciate each moment. I think it made the following days even better.
Honestly, I still think about that first dinner when I missed traveling. It's the little things that stick with you. If anyone listening is planning a trip, give yourself a calm first day. Don't rush into too many activities, you'll enjoy it more.
Totally agree. Take time to notice the details, smells, sounds, people. That first impression really shapes your whole trip.
And try local food right away. It's one of the easiest ways to connect with the culture and start your adventure with a happy stomach.
Plus, you might discover a new favorite dish, just like we did with adobo and mango shakes. Something that really surprised me was how welcoming everyone was, even just in the way people said hello at the airport and restaurants.
I noticed that too. The warm smiles made it easier to relax and feel at home, even though everything else was new.
It's amazing how those little interactions can turn a strange place into somewhere comfortable in just a few hours.
That's why I love traveling. Those small moments of kindness can really make your day. Thinking about it now, I can't wait to talk about the underground river and those boat rides. That experience was so unique.
Absolutely. Plus, there were some funny moments with local food and nature that we have to share. Our Palawan story only gets better from here.
And more opportunities to practice easy English, since we'll be describing things we've never seen before.
Let's save those surprises for the next episode, I promise. You'll hear stories you won't forget. So, to wrap up, here are 3 things to remember. First, sometimes the best trips start with a small idea or a video. Second, taking time to adjust on day 1 can make your adventure smoother. Third, local food and friendly people turn a new place into a real experience.
And if you're learning English, our tip is, listen, repeat, and try describing your own travel stories in simple sentences. That's your action step for this week. Tell someone about a trip you took, using easy English.
Thanks for joining our journey through Palawan. We hope you learned something new and had fun. Don't forget to tune in next time for more adventures, language tips, and plenty of real-life stories.
We can't wait to share the next part with you. Keep listening and keep practicing your English. See you soon.
Ever had an alarm go off before the sun even wakes up? That was us eyes barely open at 6 a.m., but seriously buzzing with excitement.
I can still feel that rush. Dragging ourselves out of bed felt tough for a second, but as soon as we remembered the underground river trip, we basically jumped up.
Right? There's something about knowing you're headed for an adventure that just makes mornings easier.
And let's be honest, if we weren't so excited, I might have hit snooze. But Palawan has that energy you don't want to miss a minute.
Before any real exploring, breakfast is a must. The hotel was basic, but that plate of eggs, toast, fruit, and coffee hit the spot.
I remember thinking, is this enough? But it was. There's something about travel food. Even simple meals taste better when you're about to do something cool.
Totally. That meal powered us through the morning. I don't know if it was the adventure or the coffee, but it worked.
Probably both. Plus, it's always nice starting the day with a group breakfast. Everyone's awake, half sleepy, half excited, ready to bond over toast.
After breakfast, it was time to meet our guide and the rest of the group. About 8 people, all equally sleepy and eager.
It was funny watching everyone gather with their hats, cameras, and that, I hope I didn't forget anything look. Instant camaraderie among strangers, right?
Exactly. It's like, we're in this together. And then, before we knew it, we were piling into a van, ready for the next step.
That moment, when the van door closes and the engine starts, you know the adventure's officially begun.
2 hours on the road sounds long, but that drive was almost as memorable as the river itself. The scenery out the window kept changing: mountains, forests, and endless coconut trees.
I loved spotting those tiny villages along the way. There's something peaceful about watching local life kids walking to school, people zipping by on motorcycles.
And every turn gave us a new view. I kept thinking, this is the real Palawan, not just the tourist spots, but everyday life.
Sometimes the simple parts of a trip stick with you just as much as the big highlights. That ride was a little adventure of its own.
When we finally got to Sabang, the first thing I noticed was that pop of blue, the ocean, was right there, super bright after all that green scenery.
It felt like we stepped into a postcard, and the village itself had this relaxed vibe. You could tell life moves a little slower near the sea.
After hours in a van, just smelling the salty air was refreshing. It gave us this little energy boost before the next leg.
Makes you want to take your shoes off and run straight to the shore, though we had one more ride before we could do that.
To reach the underground river, we had to hop on a small boat. Waiting for our turn, I kept watching the waves and wondering if I'd get seasick.
Luckily, it wasn't too rough. Just enough to remind you, you're at sea. Plus, the view. Rocky cliffs, big green mountains, and so much blue water.
That boat ride felt almost magical, like we were heading to a secret world hidden behind all those dramatic rocks.
Seriously, every minute, I got more curious about what was waiting for us on the other side of those cliffs.
Stepping off the boat, the first thing I noticed was that striking beach white sand, towering limestone cliffs, and almost no one there.
It felt like we discovered some hidden set from a movie. The cliffs made everything feel extra epic, like nature was showing off.
It's rare to be somewhere that feels untouched. Even before we entered the cave, I was already snapping mental photos of that whole scene.
And then, helmets and life jackets in hand, we knew the real adventure was about to start.
There's nothing like donning a bright orange life jacket and a helmet to make you feel official. It's a little dorky, but hey, safety first.
Honestly, I was grateful for it. I remember thinking, if there are bats or slippery rocks in there, I'm ready.
True! Plus, it gave me flashbacks to school field trips, everyone dressed the same, ready for a group adventure.
And then we climbed into that narrow paddle boat, feeling both protected and a little like explorers.
Gliding into the cave, the light from outside faded away. It was suddenly cool and totally dark, except for our tiny flashlight.
That first moment inside was a little spooky. The guide paddled quietly, and all we heard was the drip-drop of water and the echo of bats.
I kept looking up, amazed by the huge ceilings and those crazy stalactites hanging down like teeth.
And do you remember when the guide pointed to the rock shaped like a horse? I started seeing animals everywhere. Nature's own art museum.
The cave felt almost otherworldly. Some of those rock shapes looked like mushrooms, some like castles. It's wild what water and time can do.
I actually felt a little nervous hearing the bats. But once I got used to their squeaks, it was just part of the whole mysterious vibe.
After a few minutes, my eyes adjusted to the dark. I started to relax and just soak up the feeling of being in a place that's been forming for thousands of years.
The whole time, it felt like we were the only people in there, even though I knew tour groups come every day. It was special.
After about 45 minutes, the cave tour was over. Stepping back into the sunlight felt almost shocking. Everything was suddenly warm and super bright.
It took my eyes a few seconds to adjust. It's wild how being underground makes you appreciate daylight and fresh air in a whole new way.
That contrast, dark, cool cave to blazing sun, was such a wake-up. I felt both tired and totally recharged at the same time.
And just in time, because there was a buffet lunch waiting for us, back in Sabang.
You know you're hungry when grilled chicken and rice taste like a feast. That lunch had everything: veggies, noodles, fresh fruit, and a perfect ocean view.
I think I went back for seconds on the chicken. There's something extra relaxing about eating with sand between your toes and the sound of waves nearby.
It wasn't fancy, but after our morning, it felt pretty luxurious. Travel food always hits differently after a big adventure.
And with our stomachs full, we had just the right amount of energy to explore the beach a little more.
Sometimes the best part of a trip is when you do nothing at all. Just sitting under a tree, watching gentle waves and letting time slow down.
Those moments are the ones I remember most. A quiet beach, soft sand, barely any people around. It makes you appreciate just being there.
After all the adventure, that peaceful break felt like a gift. Sometimes travel is about catching your breath, not just chasing the next big thing.
Absolutely. It's where good memories settle in, and where you really get to enjoy the place with all your senses.
The ride back to the hotel was almost silent, everyone exhausted in the best way. I looked around and saw half the group napping.
It's that happy, tired feeling you only get after a full day out. Even the driver turned the music down, like he knew we all needed a quiet ride.
When we finally reached the hotel, I just wanted to put my feet up and relive the day in my head.
A quick rest, then dinner, but nothing fancy. We went for a cozy spot, ordered light food, and enjoyed those last relaxed hours.
That night, over bowls of seafood soup and fried rice, we recapped every moment. The soup was so warm, just what you want after an adventure.
I remember feeling completely content. It's such a good feeling to end the day tired but happy, knowing you made the most of every minute.
And as we headed back to our hotel, I couldn't help thinking about what was coming next. El Nido was just around the corner.
If the underground river was this good, El Nido was sure to be stunning. My excitement for the next day went through the roof.
So, to wrap up first, don't underestimate the magic of an early start. Second, sometimes the journey is just as beautiful as the destination. And third, quiet moments on the road make the biggest memories.
If you're planning a trip, I'd say, embrace every part: the adventure, the food, and the chance to slow down. Let yourself enjoy the little things.
Here's your action step. Try taking a short walk or a quiet moment during your next trip. No matter where you are, see what you notice that you'd usually miss.
Thanks for joining us on our Palawan adventure and for practicing English with us. Next episode, we'll dive into El Nido's lagoons and local eats. Don't miss it. See you soon.
Imagine waking up before sunrise, bags half packed, heart racing with excitement and a bit of nerves. That's exactly how our day started on the road to El Nido.
I still remember. It was one of those mornings where you can't decide if you're more sleepy or excited. But we knew something special was waiting for us.
If you're just joining us, I'm Lily, and with me is Sophie. Today, we're sharing our unforgettable journey from Puerto Princesa to El Nido in Palawan.
And it's not just any road trip. We'll talk about early morning starts, bumpy roads, what makes El Nido so dreamy, and the tiny moments in between that made it all real.
Stick around, because we'll share travel tips, our favorite food, and the moment we first saw El Nido's famous cliffs, plus what surprised us most about the journey.
Packing up that morning, I couldn't shake the butterflies in my stomach. I'd heard the trip was long, almost 6 hours.
It definitely made us double-check our snacks and water. I remember thinking, I hope the van is comfy.
Honestly, I half expected to nap the whole way, but with so much anticipation, sleep was the last thing on my mind.
Same here. The energy was a mix of adventure and a little anxiety about what the journey would hold. Once we checked out of the hotel, we squeezed into a shared van about 10 people, some tourists like us, some locals heading home.
I remember the seats being a little tight, but everyone seemed friendly. There's something about sharing a van that makes you feel like a team, even if you're strangers.
A couple next to us was heading for their honeymoon. The whole van buzzed with little stories and laughter.
And you know, when you're excited about the destination, small seats suddenly feel less important. At first, the road was smooth, and I thought, oh, maybe this won't be as tough as people say.
But then, about an hour in, the bumps started. Every time we hit a pothole, someone would laugh or gasp. It turned into a bit of a game.
That actually made the mood lighter. And whenever I looked out the window, the views kept getting better. Lush forests, rolling mountains, and stretches of green fields.
It's those surprising little jolts and stunning scenery that make a journey memorable, don't you think? Passing through small villages, we'd see kids playing outside, people riding motorcycles, and locals selling snacks at roadside stands.
It felt so different from a big city. Life here is slower, and you notice every smile and wave. That's when it hit me. We were seeing the real Palawan.
And it made me appreciate the journey, not just the destination. It's easy to forget how much you can learn just by looking out the window.
Right. Every little scene told its own story. It was like watching postcards come to life. After about 3 hours, everyone sighed with relief when we stopped for a break at a tiny roadside shop.
I rushed for a cold drink. Nothing beats a soda when you're overheating, and I grabbed some chips too, just for comfort.
It's funny how a simple snack can feel like a treat on long trips. I also remember everyone making a beeline for the restroom.
15 minutes felt too short, but it gave us energy to continue the journey. Back in the van, the second half felt even longer. Maybe it's because our excitement turned into sleepy yawns.
Some people managed to nap, but every time I closed my eyes, a bump in the road would wake me up. Did you have any luck sleeping?
Not really. My head kept bobbing, and I didn't want to miss the changing views outside anyway.
That's the struggle, wanting to rest, but also not wanting to miss anything. After what felt like ages, the van finally stopped. Stepping out, the first thing I saw were those famous limestone cliffs. It was breathtaking.
Same here. The ocean was right in front of us, blue and clear. For a moment, I just stood there and stared.
It almost didn't feel real, like we'd walked into a travel magazine. The colors were so vivid, and the air smelled like the sea.
All the tiredness from the trip disappeared in an instant. It was totally worth it. We headed straight to our hotel, nothing fancy, but clean, and best of all, just a few steps from the beach.
That location made all the difference. We dropped our bags, flopped onto the bed for a quick rest, but neither of us wanted to stay indoors for long.
I kept peeking out the window, itching to get to the water. After half an hour, we couldn't resist.
We grabbed our hats and headed out, excited to finally see the beach up close. Walking toward the beach, I think for a second, we both forgot how to speak. The cliffs, the sand, the boats. It was just stunning.
I agree. It was one of those moments you just want to pause. The water was so clear you could see little fish darting near the shore.
And those colorful boats lined up, ready for island hopping trips. It made me want to drop everything and jump aboard right then.
It's the kind of view that makes you understand why people travel halfway across the world to come here. As we strolled along the shoreline, I noticed travelers from everywhere. Some were swimming, others taking selfies, and a few just soaking up the sun.
There was this gentle mix of excitement and relaxation. I loved seeing people from different countries, all enjoying the same simple pleasures: warm sand and ocean breeze.
And the little restaurants and shops added charm. It was lively, but never crowded, just the right balance.
It's funny, even with so much going on, it felt peaceful too. Maybe that's the magic of El Nido. After all that walking, hunger definitely hit us again. We started searching for somewhere cozy with a view, and there were so many choices.
We ended up picking a beachside restaurant, drawn in by the sound of waves and the promise of fresh seafood.
And what a meal! We ordered grilled squid, juicy shrimp, and rice. Nothing fancy, but each bite tasted like the ocean.
Plus, we couldn't resist another mango shake. It's basically the perfect drink after a day in the sun. After dinner, we wandered back onto the sand. The sky was crystal clear, full of stars, and the whole beach glowed in the moonlight.
It was the kind of night where you feel like anything is possible. We talked about our plans for tomorrow finally. Island hopping in El Nido.
The excitement built up again. We read about the big lagoon and small lagoon, everyone raves about them.
I couldn't wait to kayak, snorkel, and see all the marine life. It felt like the real adventure was just beginning. That night, back at the hotel, we made sure our cameras and batteries were charged. No way we were missing a single photo tomorrow.
We also double-checked our swimsuits and packed extra sunblock. After what we saw today, we wanted to be ready for anything.
True, because island hopping in El Nido is the main event. I was, honestly, a little too excited to fall asleep.
But eventually, the day's adventure caught up with us. We turned in early, dreaming about crystal clear waters and hidden lagoons. So, looking back on our journey to El Nido, a few things stand out. The excitement and nerves of travel, the stunning local scenery, and that jaw-dropping first view of the cliffs and ocean.
Don't forget our discovery of local life along the road, the simple joy of fresh food by the sea, and the peaceful, starry night that made it all feel magical.
If you're planning your own trip, our top tip is embrace the journey, not just the destination. Talk to locals, try the snacks, and pause for every view.
Your practical step? Pack light, bring patience for the road, and save your energy, because tomorrow, it's all about island hopping, kayaking, and exploring the lagoons.
Thanks for listening and learning English with us. Join us next episode for our island hopping adventure in El Nido.
See you next time, and happy travels to all our listeners.
Imagine gliding across crystal clear waters, surrounded by dramatic cliffs, and discovering secret lagoons. That's the adventure we're diving into today.
I still get goosebumps thinking about that day. I'm Sophie, and with Lily, we'll guide you through the unforgettable experience of island hopping in El Nido.
I'm Lily, and if you're learning English, you're in the right spot. We'll keep things simple and real. Today, you'll hear about early morning excitement, lagoon kayaking, snorkeling with colorful fish, and a delicious beach picnic.
And we'll share our honest feelings and little details, like what breakfast in paradise really tastes like. Ready to set sail with us? Let's start at sunrise.
That morning, my alarm rang at 7, but honestly, I didn't even need it. I was wide awake just thinking about what was coming.
Same here. I usually struggle with early mornings. But that day, I bounced out of bed because island hopping just sounded so incredible.
We got ready in record time and headed out for breakfast, still half laughing about how awake we were.
It's funny how excitement can replace coffee. But let's be real, I still needed that cup.
We found this tiny cafe near the sand, with the sound of waves just outside. I kept breakfast simple: toast, eggs, and of course, coffee.
I went for a plate of fresh fruit, mango and pineapple. There's nothing like fruit that's picked just hours before.
We kept it light since we knew a big lunch was waiting later. Still, that meal felt special, maybe because of the view.
And the people watching. You could see other travelers with the same excited faces, ready for their own adventures.
After breakfast, we wandered down to the beach and saw rows of colorful boats waiting. The whole place buzzed with energy.
When our guide called our names, I felt a little rush, like, now it's really happening. We joined our group of 12, all strangers, but somehow already connected by the day ahead.
There's something cool about sharing an adventure with people you just met. Everyone seemed just as excited as we were.
And there's always someone snapping photos or pointing out something cool on the horizon. It makes the start feel like a team event.
Our ride was one of those traditional boats, wooden seats, a simple roof, and this feeling of adventure the second you step on.
The boat felt a bit bouncy, but the view made up for it. The ocean was so blue, it almost didn't look real.
And the sky was picture-perfect clear, almost no clouds. It felt like a dream version of island life.
What got me most were the cliffs on each island. They looked like something out of a fantasy movie. Tall, dark, and dramatic.
About half an hour in, the boat slowed. That's when we saw the big lagoon. And honestly, my jaw dropped.
It was like stepping into another world. The water was glassy and so clear, with these crazy shades of blue and green.
Tall cliffs surrounded us, making it feel hidden and a bit mysterious. I couldn't stop staring.
And it was so quiet inside the lagoon, almost like you had to whisper not to disturb the peace.
To explore, we switched to kayaks. At first, I was nervous the kayak wobbled, and I pictured us tipping over.
Me too. My hands were shaky, but after a few strokes, I got the hang of it. We paddled together, occasionally zigzagging, like beginners.
Sometimes we veered left, sometimes right, never straight, but that just made the whole thing more fun.
Laughs, I think we spent as much time laughing as paddling. That teamwork made the moment memorable.
There was a moment when we just stopped, letting the kayak drift. The water was so clear you could see every little fish below.
The sun reflected off the surface, making it look like we were floating inside a painting. It was almost impossible to believe it was real.
We just sat there, taking it all in. It felt like the world outside disappeared for a bit.
Those quiet minutes are the ones I keep coming back to in my memory. Sometimes, it's the stillness that makes the biggest impression.
Eventually, we paddled back and climbed onto the boat, still grinning. The guide handed out snorkeling masks and life jackets. It was time for a new kind of adventure.
I always get a little nervous before jumping in, but the water was so inviting. Once I put my face under, all I could think was, wow.
That underwater world was like a living rainbow yellow fish, blue fish, some with stripes. I wanted to memorize every detail.
For a few minutes, I almost forgot I was a visitor. It felt like we belonged in that bright, busy ocean.
I remember seeing schools of tiny fish darting around, moving like one big group. The blue ones almost glowed in the sunlight.
And then, there were the black and yellow fish, weaving between rocks. It made me want to reach out and follow them.
We floated there for about 40 minutes, just watching, breathing, and feeling part of something bigger.
That freedom, just gliding in clear water, surrounded by colors, it's better than any souvenir.
After snorkeling, I realized how hungry I was. Luckily, the boat stopped at a small, quiet beach for lunch.
That spot felt like our own secret hideaway, hardly any other people. Just us, the sand, and the sea.
The guides cooked right there. Grilled chicken and fish, rice, veggies, and fresh fruit. Each smell made my stomach growl louder.
I still remember the sweet sauce on the chicken and the freshness of the fish. After all that swimming, every bite tasted incredible.
After eating, some people swam, some sunbathed, but we went for a shady spot under a tree, just letting that gentle breeze cool us off.
Those few quiet minutes, listening to the waves and feeling the breeze, gave me a sense of total peace. I never wanted to leave.
There's something about relaxing on a hidden island with no rush that makes you forget the rest of the world.
It's a reminder that sometimes, the best part of travel is just stopping and enjoying where you are.
We visited one more beach before heading back. The sand there felt softer than anywhere else, like powder.
And the water was unbelievably clear. I could have stayed in that spot forever, just taking photo after photo.
We made sure to get lots of pictures. Those views deserve to be remembered.
Sometimes a photo can't quite capture the feeling, but it helps bring back the memories later.
By around 4 p.m., we were back at the main beach in El Nido. I felt tired but so happy at the same time.
I know what you mean. My feet were sandy, my hair was salty, but I couldn't stop smiling. That day felt like a real-life postcard.
It's one of those rare days that just sticks with you, long after you've rinsed off the sand.
It really was the highlight of the whole trip. Maybe even my favorite travel day ever.
So, what a ride. First, we learned that excitement can turn even early mornings into magic. Second, working together makes new things like kayaking a lot more fun. Third, stopping to soak in a quiet moment can be the best part of any day.
If you want to practice your English, try describing your favorite trip or day out, just like we did today. Take it slow, use simple words, and share your feelings.
That's a great way to remember vocabulary and make your stories feel real. Next time, we'll talk about relaxing in El Nido cafes, suites, and nightlife to help you keep learning.
Thanks for listening and for joining us on this adventure. Keep practicing, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Did you ever think we'd reach the last episode of our Palawan trip series? I can barely believe it's here.
Honestly, I'm a little emotional about wrapping this up. This trip was packed with memories I never want to forget.
Same here, but today we're sharing our last full day in El Nido, and trust me, there's still plenty to talk about.
So for all our listeners, we've got a slow travel day, breakfast adventures, our favorite food, sunset dinners, and some reflections coming up. Stick around. There's lots you can take away from a relaxed day abroad.
After all the island hopping and swimming, I loved that we finally let ourselves sleep in no alarms, just natural sunlight.
Exactly. Waking up around 9 felt almost luxurious. I think that slow start set the tone for the whole day. It's underrated how important rest is when you're traveling.
It made breakfast feel even more special too. I was genuinely excited to explore El Nido's cafe scene.
And those little cafes really have their own personalities, don't they? Some with ocean views, some just cozy corners with warm wood and green plants everywhere.
The cafe we picked was such a gem: wooden tables, plants everywhere, and just a calm vibe. I could have stayed there all day.
Me too. And the food looked as good as it tasted. I went for the smoothie bowl because those colors were calling my name. Mango, banana, coconut, all fresh and so bright.
I needed something sweet and comforting, so I went for a banana pancake and strong coffee. That combo always makes me feel like I'm on holiday.
And honestly, that coffee hit the spot. I needed the caffeine after such an active week. Sometimes a good breakfast is the highlight of the day.
We lingered over breakfast, chatting about everything and nothing, and just enjoying being there. I really love those slow travel moments.
It's funny people always plan for non-stop adventure, but sometimes it's these unhurried mornings that stay with you. Like, not every day needs to be packed tight.
Exactly. There's something about slowing down and letting the day come to you.
I think it's when you notice more the taste of the food, the sounds around you, even the way the light comes in through the cafe window. That kind of presence is hard to get at home.
After breakfast, we just wandered around town, popping into little shops. I'm always curious what souvenirs I'll find.
Yes, I love the mix. T-shirts, handmade bags, tons of bracelets, and of course, those classic travel magnets. The variety is half the fun.
You picked out that blue and white bracelet, right? It totally reminded me of the ocean.
That's why I chose it. I wanted something that would bring me back to those beach days whenever I saw it at home.
And I grabbed a postcard. Funny thing, I always plan to send them, but then I end up keeping them as keepsakes.
I do the same. They're like tiny time capsules. Even if you never mail them, they hold onto that moment or place for you.
Exactly. It's a simple way to remember a feeling, not just a place.
Plus, it's fun to look back on them later and remember what you loved about the trip.
After a while, the heat started to get to us. There was only one real solution: mango shakes.
We honestly couldn't get enough of them. Super cold, super sweet, and so refreshing after being out in the sun.
And that local coconut dessert we tried, do you remember the creamy texture? That's something I'll miss.
Filipino food uses coconut in so many ways. You find it in drinks, desserts, even main dishes. It's a real taste of the islands.
Later, we headed back to the beach, but this time, no swimming. We just sat on the sand and watched the world go by.
I loved that. There were fewer people, the weather was perfect, and there was this gentle wind that made everything feel peaceful.
Honestly, just sitting quietly and looking at the ocean was all I needed.
It was the best chance to reflect on the trip. Sometimes you only realize how special a place is when you slow down like that.
We ended up talking about our favorite moments from the whole trip. What stands out for you the most?
Definitely the big lagoon. Kayaking there, surrounded by dramatic cliffs and calm water, felt so magical and peaceful.
That was my highlight too. It felt like we had the whole world to ourselves for a moment.
Sometimes, it's the quiet experiences, not the busy ones, that leave the strongest memories.
Let's talk food for a second. What was your favorite dish from the whole week?
Grilled seafood, hands down. Especially the shrimp. There's something about eating fresh seafood right by the beach.
I knew you'd say that, and honestly, I'm not ashamed to admit that mango shakes are my number one.
Honestly, I don't think I could ever get tired of them. It's like sunshine in a glass.
For our last dinner, choosing a beachside restaurant was the best decision. Watching the sky turn orange and pink was unforgettable.
The food was simple grilled fish, garlic, rice, and veggies, but every bite tasted amazing with that view. Sometimes simple is best.
We ate slowly, just soaking it all in. I wish every meal could feel that special.
It felt like the whole trip was wrapping itself up in the best way possible. Good food, a sunset, and the sound of the waves.
After dinner, our last walk on the beach was honestly so peaceful. The night was quiet, and you could hear the waves so clearly.
We barely spoke, but I felt like we were both thinking about everything we'd seen and done. The stars above, the sand under our feet, just being there.
Sometimes you don't need words. Just sharing that silence with a friend is enough.
Those are the moments that make a trip unforgettable. I wanted to hold on to it a little longer.
Waking up the next day, knowing we had to leave, was tough. Part of me wanted to stay another week.
Me too, though I felt so grateful for everything we experienced. Sometimes saying goodbye is just proof that something was really special.
I agree. Palawan left a big imprint on me, beautiful places, friendly people, and delicious food everywhere.
And even though we had to leave, I know we'll carry those memories with us for a long time.
Looking back, I feel like travel always teaches us something. What did Palawan teach you this time?
For me, it's the value of slowing down. Not every day needs to be an adventure. Sometimes the best memories are in the quiet moments.
I learned to appreciate local flavors and try things I wouldn't at home. It's amazing how food and culture are so connected.
And I realized how important it is to be present and just enjoy the simple things. Good company, good views, and a sense of gratitude.
So, as we wrap up, here are 3 things we hope you take from our Palawan trip. Cherish slow moments, try local foods, and make space for reflection.
If you get the chance, plan your own relaxed travel day, maybe even just at home. Let yourself wander, taste something new, and notice the details.
Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. We hope our stories gave you ideas for your own adventures and helped with your English too.
And remember, learning a language is like traveling. Try new things, enjoy the process, and don't rush. See you next time.